sorry I'm late. I'm never late to chapel, but literally the one day you need me, I am late.
I didn't really edit that one.
No, it's all good. So what exactly is happening tonight? Are we doing another student-led?
Yeah, the student-led is the spiritual formation class.
I'm tired.
Trey's moving the left one because it was shaking a bunch.
Okay.
I think he just finished.
I moved it for no reason.
They're about to come back with more music.
Okay.
They're doing song testimonies.
Cool beans.
Another song. Finishing the testimonies, altar call song.
Did he just move that camera? No. I thought Trey got up and moved it. I might have to go down there and fix it again. I think he did move it. Fudge.
you don't see that moving at all, just gently pull on it, and sometimes it'll come back.
Okay.
I don't know why it's doing that.
Okay. I'll be right back. I want to hear. Is it doing it again?
I think it.
Then I started to kind of pick myself up a little bit. I started doing things that I liked doing. I kind of found myself again, but I still felt numb and I had no reason to. And so for months, I was just angry at myself because I felt like I didn't deserve to be mad, like I didn't deserve to feel as bad as I did, because there's no problem except for me. And I prayed to God over and over. I kept praying that just reveal yourself to me, reveal myself to me, so I would know how to get out of this funk that lasted for almost an entire year. And it just got worse and worse and worse.
My father of very well-meaning intentions placed a lot of expectation upon me. And being as influential as he was, caused everyone around me to put a lot of expectation on me. And the burning eyes of everyone who saw what I could be led me to believe that I was that. But as I grew older, I began to realize that person, the image that they had for me, the image that I had adopted as my own, my identity wasn't who I really was. And I lived in conflict with that who I really was didn't line up with the me that I wanted to be. Because I was far weaker and I was far more sinful than the me I wanted to be ever was. And the only thing that stood between me and where I wanted to be was myself. And so I hated myself. I despised living with myself. Because he's the only thing that stopped me from being happy. He's the only thing that stopped me from achieving everything I ever wanted to achieve. I didn't know how to process the tension. And so I would beat things. I would beat myself until I was bruised. As I developed more control, I found systematic ways of punishing myself and slicing my arms and my chest and my legs open with the sharpest knives that I could find. But it wouldn't satisfy me. It wouldn't be enough. I still was stuck inside of me. And so I saw only one way out. That maybe if I took that knife and took it a bit closer to the wrist and maybe a little bit deeper where no one could see me, maybe it could all be over.
Hi. My name is Brianna Cooter. My entire life I haven't been shown what real love looks like. Because growing up, my parents separated whenever I was 6 months old, and that's whenever my mom abandoned me, which she later came on back into my life to rip me away from my dad at the age of 4, which this led to her abusing me physically. And while I was living with my mom, my older brother forced me to do sexual things to him whenever I was in the 1st grade. My mom and grandparents knew about this and did nothing because it continued to happen. I don't really know how long for, but it was probably until third grade, which in 3rd grade I moved in with my great-grandparents. My great-grandmother happened to be verbally and mentally abusive to me, telling me that I was a fat pig and that I should be better in school and that I was just like my mother, and a lot of other degrading things. But she was the closest thing I had to love, which this led on to having my older brother pitch in and calling me a fat whore and everything like that, which I was in the 6th grade. And this went on until I moved out of that house the summer before I came here. She would also belittle my great-grandmother and be abusive to him verbally and physically. Then I got a boyfriend my 2nd semester of senior year. He was verbally, physically, sexually, and mentally abusive to me because that's all I've really known my entire life. So I thought that's what true love looked like. He ran me dry of my money. He would hit me when I would grab his phone just to take pictures on his phone of me, and which I later found out is because he ended up cheating on me whenever I was forced to move to Jekyll Island for a month. And I didn't know that at the time, and apparently I was so in love with him that I moved back to the state of Tennessee to be with him. The reason why he cheated on me is because I stopped sending him nudes, and even though he would beg me to send them. And I also wouldn't have sex with him because I stopped doing other sexual things with him because he would keep manipulating me into doing those things. Then I went off to college. A week after my 18th birthday, I got taken advantage by someone who goes here. I was severely intoxicated, and the only thing I remember is him manipulating me into going over to his place and laying me there in his bed, and me laying there in his bed wishing for it all to be over because I didn't want it to happen. And I'm pretty sure he was sober and he knew I was intoxicated. The next semester, a guy in my history class said I was flirting with him when I only needed help in the class. He was texting me whenever I was intoxicated, and he was on his way over to my room. He invited himself into my room, and I couldn't get off my bed. He locked the door and got on my bed and started kissing me. I didn't want it to happen. I didn't even want him in my room, but he proceeded to kiss me and forced me to do sexual things. I don't remember how I got him out of my room that night, but I know I slept alone. I thought about killing myself 2nd semester of freshman year because I couldn't deal with all the pain I went through. But I couldn't put my old roommate through that because I knew I was one of her rocks at the time. Then over the summer, my great-grandmother disowned me, and my mom was telling me all of the things she did to me was in the past and that she doesn't believe putting hands on my little sister is right. And I got to hear how she is clean from drugs and how she's going back to college and basically how much better her life is now without me and how well she's treating my little sister, which both of those things took a big toll on me because my mom is the reason why my great-grandmother disowned me. My mom told her that she is one of the reasons why I'm so messed up in the head, and my mom admitted to being one of the many reasons why, and practically told me it is what it is of what she did to me, and she didn't sound sorry about it whatsoever. This impacted my mental health bad because I was dealing with this all summer, and even 1st semester of this year, I basically shut everyone out and isolated myself. I would still hang out here and there with my friends, but I would mainly sleep to forget everything that was going on, which led to me locking myself into my bathroom one night and looking at all the medicine in my bathroom and thinking about downing each bottle just to end it all. However, I talked myself out of it because I knew if I would have taken those pills and died, then my old roommate and my friends would try to take themselves out as well. I couldn't do that because one of my friends who is in this room means the world to me, and if I lost her, my world would be shattered, and I know she would feel the same if I would have went through with my actions that night.
Hey, my name is Emma Lewis. To tell you a little bit about my background, I came from a family of ministry. I came from, my dad is a pastor, my mom is a teacher. If you looked at my family, we were the perfect family. I have three siblings, there's four of us. And looking out from the outside, we were perfect. There was no wrong. So growing up with this expectation to be the perfect family, to be the perfect child, to be the perfect daughter of a pastor was so much pressure on an 8-year-old child. So I got saved when I was 8 at a communion service with my older sister, and looking back, that is one of the best nights of my life, and I know for a fact that in that moment I was saved, and I was a child of the kingdom. A few years later, I was a 6th grader in middle school, and my parents had been arguing a lot, and a lot had happened in my family, and my parents had just gone through a really rough time. Well, my parents had sat us down and told us that we were moving, but we didn't know where. So for the next year of my life, we lost our church, we lost our house, we lost everything we had. We lost our dog, who moved in with some of our best friends, which we now have now, so that's awesome. But anyways, we lost everything. And in the eyes of a 12-year-old, I had nothing. I felt stripped of everything that I'd ever had because I thought that materialistic things was what life was about. So for the next few months, which felt like years to me, we were homeless. We lived in my aunt's house, my grandma's house. We lived everywhere you could think. And so we were driving one day, and my dad looked at us and said, "How do you feel about moving to New Orleans?" And for me, I'd always been in the South. I'd always been in Georgia. And I was like, what is that? Like, that's so far away. So we got in the car, and we took off to New Orleans, to this unknown place, to this crazy city. And one of the first days we were there, we were walking down the streets of New Orleans. And there's this crazy man in a coconut bra who walks up to us and is just drunk off his butt. And that was what I remember, was this crazy city. And I was like, God, like, where do you have my family? Why do you have us here in the midst of chaos? My life is chaotic. I have nothing. We're living in a tiny apartment on a seminary campus. Like, I hate it. Like, bring me back to Georgia. I hate it here. So for the next year, my dad was in school. He was in seminary. And while you would think it would be perfect, it really wasn't. And so during that time, while I learned a lot, I also hated it. I had no friends. I was living amongst a bunch of college students that, as a 12-year-old kid, like, I didn't need to be around that. I didn't love it. So fast forward a year later, we moved back to Georgia, and I'm like, oh yes, finally I have a fresh start. Finally I have something to look forward to. I have something to move on to. I can make friends. I can have a normal life like I've always wanted. My dad took another pastoral job, and that pressure of being perfect all came back within an instant. And I felt like I had to be perfect for my dad. I felt like I had to be perfect for my mom, for the people in the church, for the deacons, the elders. I just felt so much pressure on my life. And fast forward to I'm in high school, and it's my 11th grade year. And I fell into so much sin that I would have never thought that I would have been in. I began to party. I began to drink. I began to hang out with people who I never thought that I would be with. And so I finally had got crumbled under this pressure of being perfect and being the perfect person that everyone thought that I had to be to fit into this perfect family, that I decided that I didn't need God. I didn't need him. I didn't want him. I wanted nothing to do with him. I didn't want the church. I didn't need the people of the church. So I turned my back and I walked away and said, I'm done. I'm so done. I'm never turning back. And so my junior year, that is exactly how I lived my life. I lived my life full of sin, full of hate of people, hate of the church, hate of God, hate of my family. And I had pushed everyone who loved me away. And one night during second semester, I had gotten so drunk that I had no idea where I was. I ended up at some random person's house. And I can remember my dad walking in to the bathroom floor where I'm throwing up so drunk that I remember nothing. And he says, get up. And I stand up and he says, I love you. And he takes my hand and we walk out.
Hi, I'm Jaycee. My story is 6 months ago, I had my life planned out. I was with a guy that I'd actually met here. We were together for 3 years, and September 25th, I woke up to a phone call that he had gotten a car accident. So we were living with his mom, and his brother was also living with us, who was a cop in Swainsboro, which is where he passed. And I got up, I banged on the door, I was like, hey, you need to go find out where he's at. Like, you need to find him. Me, always being the person that always thinks the negative, I was like, something's gonna happen, I just know it. He came back in crying, and I immediately knew he was gone. I spent the next hour, I called my parents, my dad came and got me. I spent the next 3 days on the couch. I didn't eat or sleep, and I lost 10 pounds, which for me is a lot. My dad was the one who honestly saved me. He kept me afloat. He held my hand, made me eat. He even had the amount of food I needed to eat and drink water each hour to gain back the weight. I was actually starting to build my life back. 4 months later, again, I got another phone call. He had passed away. He was at his job site, and he got up, and his heart blew out. And that was the day my world fell apart once again.
Stand with us.
There's a grace when the heart is on fire. Another way when the walls are closing in. And when I look at the space between where I used to be and this reckoning, I know I will never be alone. There was another in the fire, standing next to me. There was another in the waters, holding back the seas. And should I ever need reminding of how I've been set free, there's a cross that bears the burden, where another died for me. There is another in the fire. All my dead left for dead beneath the waters. I'm no longer a slave to my sin anymore. Should I fall in the space between what remains of me and this reckoning, either way I won't bow to the things of this world. And I know I will never be alone. There is another in the fire, standing next to me. There is another in the waters, holding back the seas. And should I ever need reminding what power set me free, there is a grave that holds nobody. Now that power us. Nothing stands between us. The light in the darkness, as the darkness bows to him. I can hear the roar in the heavens, as the space between we're standing. I can feel the ground shake beneath us, as the prison walls cave in. Nothing stands between us. Nothing stands between us. There is no other name but the name that is Jesus. He who was and is still and will be through it all. So come with me in the space between all the things unseen and this reckoning. I know I will never be alone. I know I will never be alone. There'll be another in the fire standing next to me. There'll be another in the waters holding back the seas. Should I ever need reminding of how good you've been to me, I'll count the joy come every battle, 'cause I know that's where you'll be. I can see the light in the darkness, as the darkness bows to him. I can hear the roar in the heavens, as the space between we're thin. I can feel the ground shake beneath us, as the prison walls cave in. Nothing stands between us. Nothing stands between. Another in the fire standing next to me. There'll be another in the waters holding back the seas. And should I ever need reminding of how good you've been to me, I'll count the joy come every battle, 'cause I know that's where you'll be. I'll count the joy come every battle, 'cause I know that's where you'll be. I'll count the joy come every battle, 'cause I know that's where you'll be. I'll count the joy come every battle, 'cause I know that's where you'll be.
Biggest change I went through in my life. Me being 11 years old at the time, not knowing whether I'll be an orphan the next day or within the next few hours, it really taught me how to fend for myself. With me and my brother basically turning into the parents for my mom, we had to learn, we had to grow up fast. We couldn't have a full childhood because of these health problems that she would encounter throughout the years. For anybody wondering, she's doing great now. If you met her, you would never even know that she had these health problems. A lot of people ask me, where do I get my never say die attitude and why don't I ever quit no matter what? And I always say, it's my mom. She had 2 heart attacks and fought breast cancer, and she never complained, not one day. She always tried to do things for us, even when we were literally getting into arguments with us, telling her just sit down and rest. She would be she would come home for chemo and still try to take us to our games or be at the parent-teacher conference, like, and we would literally be yelling at her to sit down and just rest. And it made us grow up faster than any other kid would ever have to grow up. And that's why I told that story, because at first I was fighting the change, but I feel like that change of me having to be more independent made me a better man today.
So after months and months of just feeling forgotten and lost and stuck and numb from what I felt like was nothing, I was just going through the motions. I got a text message after weeks of having school assignments piling up and feeling like I was just kind of breaking under this weight. I stopped hanging out with friends and everything, and I got a text message from a friend that I had finally just started hanging out with way before this all happened, and I hadn't seen her for a while, and she just texted me, "I'm proud of you." And I didn't know what to think, because I felt like I wasn't doing anything. There was no point of being proud. And I didn't know why, because I was so confused, because I was still praying this prayer of like, what to do. I felt like I was supposed to build this relationship with myself and with this relationship with God, but I didn't know where to start. I had no tools. I just had people telling me, hey, build it. And I finally got that text, and I realized that it wasn't about figuring out myself, but it was also about figuring out where I stood with God. I felt that I had a relationship with him, but it wasn't what he wanted for me. I started to hang out with more people again. I started studying with people, so at least felt like I was doing something, and they just started encouraging me in a weird way. Like, I just didn't see where it was coming from. And I started having like my Greek class and the spiritual formations class, and these were super out of the norm for me. I'm usually an English kind of class, and it was a lot about just pausing and just breathing in the moment and saying that like where you're at is okay, and that even though nothing might be going on and you feel this way, it's still valid. You're still worth it, and that you can build that. So I started to, and it's an ongoing process, but I regularly I don't even have to think about it, but I just start talking to him. I start praying. And I thank the people around me more. And I'm more open to just doing things, and I'm able to actually breathe, even though I felt so much anxiety and just panic all the time. But now that I know that I'm okay, I'm worth it, even though I don't have stories like the people around me. I don't have these like crazy mountains that I've climbed, that I still have a purpose.
So as I sat there contemplating the fact that it's just not worth it to keep going, to keep fighting myself any longer, because my self will always win. I had the means, I had the time, I had the place, I had the desire, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't end it, because the Lord would not let me end it. He saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. And he's taught me two things recently. One in a counseling session. My counselor had me bow down my head and he said, close your eyes and take a deep breath. And I want you to push out all the negative thoughts of yourself, and I want you to push out all of the wildness that's going through your mind right now. Just pause in this moment for a second. Now, where is Jesus? And I paused for a second and I said, I don't see Jesus. All I see is chaos. And it looked like just an array of static noise. I couldn't see anything. I couldn't hear anything. It was just chaos. And he said, push it away. Put it in the background. Where is Jesus? And I tried to push it away. I tried to muster up the strength to make my thoughts coordinate with what I was trying to do in the moment. But they just wouldn't. And he said, forget the static. Where is Jesus? And then I realized that I was focusing on the wrong thing. I was focusing on pushing out the noise instead of asking myself where Jesus was. And suddenly I looked to my side and I saw Jesus kneeling down beside me. And all of a sudden, all the static just got pushed away. It was just darkness. Me and Jesus there at my feet. And he said, what is Jesus doing? And I began to weep. Because Jesus was at my feet, washing them. Why, Lord, are you serving me? And then the counselor said, now what is Jesus doing? And in that moment, Jesus stood up, looked at me, and then turned, and suddenly there was a crowd behind him. He said, go and do likewise. The Lord saw me as valuable, not because of anything I could do for him, but because I could show love to others the way he loved me. And then the second thing I learned recently is that between me and God, one of us is omniscient and the other one's not. And I had decided in my heart that I knew myself better than he does. I know myself. I know I'm not good enough. I know I can never achieve what I want. I know I can never achieve anything good for the Lord. I know I can never achieve anything good for my father or for my family or for my friends or for my ministry and all of the people in that I am called to serve. I'm never going to be good enough. Lord, I know that better than you do, is what I said. But I was confronted with that, and I had to learn that the Lord knows a little more than I do. And if he sat there at my feet and he washed my feet, knowing who I was, knowing that I would fail, and decided it was still worth it, if he decided it was worth it for Judas, then maybe he knows a little more than I do. And maybe it's not so much about me trying to be, but allowing myself to be. Because the Lord is everything that I ever needed and everything that I ever wanted to be.
Even though I didn't know what it was like to be loved, coming here, I'm slowly understanding what it's like to be loved. Even though at the beginning of the school year, I thought about transferring a week before we moved back, something in my gut told me not to, which honestly, I'm glad I didn't transfer out of here because I'm starting to make a better relationship with my dad after all the years we've been split up, because I've realized that he's the only blood family that I have left that actually has my back. I also happen to make a wonderful friendship that I would have never guessed would happen with one of my teammates, Madison Duncan, which is one of the few reasons why I chose not to end it all that night. And she has shown me that I'm not alone in this battle of your own family turning on you. And honestly, I don't know where I would be if I never convinced her to come here. She is one of the reasons why I keep on pushing through, even though it gets hard, because I know she looks up to me. And I don't want to disappoint her. The next person who has shown me what it's like to be loved is Coach Brian. He has done anything and everything for me, and honestly, he is another father figure in my life that I never knew I needed until now. He has sat through many talks about my family and has even helped me out whenever I got stuck in Texas. He even knows when I am lying about having a good day, which not many people notice when I'm lying about that. He genuinely cares about me, and it was different because he was the first authority figure I've fully trusted in a long time, and I'm happy that our relationship has grown over this past semester. Despite all of the things I've gone through, I try to be the person everyone can go to and count on because I know what it feels like to be alone, and I don't want anyone to feel how I felt. And Duncan and Coach Brian have made me feel not alone, so that's a plus. Also, if you have told me at the beginning of the school year that I would be telling my story, I would look at you like you were crazy. But over this semester alone, I have changed, and I have honestly become a lot stronger, and I am proud of myself of how far I've become. Because I read this quote, which is, I never knew how strong I was until I had to forgive someone who wasn't sorry, and accepted an apology I never received. And I felt this on a personal level because even though all of these people that I told in my story took a part of me that they didn't deserve, I still forgive them because they have made me into the strong and caring person I am today, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
So after that night of such heartache and such hardships that I had gone through, I ended that night on my knees in prayer. Ended that night in my bedroom floor on my knees, praying to God that I never wanted this to happen again. I never wanted to go through what I went through. I never wanted to walk the path that I had continued to walk. I never wanted to continue down a road that brought me so much hurt and so much anger. And so in that moment, I decided that I no longer wanted to live that way. And I wanted all the chains to be broken. And so I couldn't have gotten to the point where I am today without my parents and without my family and the support that I had. And so much forgiveness happened in that moment. So as I continued to walk in this new me and this new person and coming back to Jesus, I realized that I was enough. I was enough for the person next to me. I was enough for my parents. I was enough for the Lord. I was enough for myself. And that was the hardest battle to get through because I thought that I was damaged. I thought that I was broken. I thought that I was hurting. And I thought that I could never in a million years go into ministry. I never thought that I would be where I am today. And I never thought that I would be standing in front of you telling what I've went through. And so much forgiveness has happened. And that has been so powerful in my life. Forgiving myself, forgiving my parents, forgiving everything that I had been through because none of that matters anymore. And what matters is that I'm walking in the light and that I'm walking in the kingdom. And so later that year, later that semester, I felt this call to go into the mission field. And I said, I'm not leaving the States, like you're crazy. And I told God no. That was my first mistake. Should have never told God no. And so I said, no, I'm not leaving the States, like you're crazy. I'm not getting on a plane, nothing. Well, a few weeks later, I heard India. And I said, India, you're crazy. I'm not going to India. That's crazy. Well, I ended up there for an entire summer. I was on a mission trip with Adventures in Missions, and I was there for an entire summer, and before I ever got on that trip, I still was like, no, I don't think this is going to happen. I don't think the money's going to come in. I don't think any of this is going to work out. And it didn't look like it was going in my favor, but I continued to pray. I continued to stay steadfast, and I knew that that's where I was called, and I knew that that's where I was called to go and to serve. So I ended up getting all the money about a week before I left, which was a God thing. And I got on that plane a few weeks later, and my life has forever been changed. I first flew into Mumbai. Well, first my plane got canceled in the middle of a storm. It ended up in Japan, and it was really cool to do street ministry there. And I saw families walking to the street who I couldn't speak the same language as them, but I could show them the love of Jesus. And then I got to Mumbai, and if you know anything about the caste system, if you are in the lowest caste, you are less than the cockroach that is on the street with you. And so that was one of the saddest things I think I've ever seen. But in that moment, I realized that they didn't have to be that lonely, and that was me a few years ago. And in a year to date, in that time, I felt like I was that person in the caste system, lower than anything else that was walking this earth. And so walking on the streets of Mumbai, I was able to pray over people in a nation where I should not have been able to pray over people because I would have went to jail. And there was many times where I got in trouble, but I was in this place where I could walk up to someone and I could pray over them, and they had no idea what I was saying, but their face lit up because they knew that I had Jesus in me, and that I was able to pray over them and to love them. So I fly to the other side of India in this little town, and I was in the seminary yet again, to where, a few years later I was in the seminary and I hated it. I got to serve in the seminary and teach English and do Bible studies and work with some people who I got to see that even in a world where they were not allowed to share Jesus, where they were not allowed to share the love of Jesus, and they were not allowed to pray over people, they were at school to do something that was so not okay to do. And that was so cool to me, because we get to sit here and we get to share Jesus. We get to go to a school where we have classes, and sometimes we get annoyed because we're like, I don't want to do this assignment for Bible class. But these people are giving up their entire lives. Their families are disowning them so that they can follow the call that's been placed in our lives. And so in that moment of being in the seminary, and I go up to the top of what they call Prayer Mountain there, and I'm on the top of this mountain, and I'm praying on my knees yet again. And I heard my call into ministry. And I would have never thought that would be my call after everything that I had been through and felt so unloved and not worthy and not enough, that I'd be sitting on the top of a mountain knowing that my call was to go and share his word so that other people don't have to feel the way I felt and walk the same path that I did. And so that's my story.
I guess for me, my story probably to everyone is probably like, how is she standing up here today? Because my world didn't stop once, but twice. My future passed away, and then my hero passed away. But God doesn't give you what you can't hold. And even though he does everything for a reason, even though we don't agree with it, we still have to live with it. And I'm sure everyone here agree, life sucks. But you can't always see the negative in it. You've got to see the positive, because that's how you enjoy life. That's how you live. And one thing for anyone who has a significant other or friendships or anything, that argument you had, it don't matter. That most annoying moment where they were pestering you so bad, you were getting so angry, that's one of the most best moments you'd ever have. Because the thing is, once you're here, you're here. And once you're gone, you're gone. You can't get it back. Those memories you cherish, that worst moment, I would take back in a heartbeat. Me and my dad didn't always see eye to eye, and neither did me and Clay. We had some of the worst fights that you could ever imagine, but I would take them back in a heartbeat because they were the best moments when you look back on them. So the lessons I learned is take every moment for granted and don't ever let it pass by. Those times where you're like, your friends say, hey, let's go out to eat, let's go do something. And you're like, nah, I don't feel like it. get up and do it, because those are some of the best moments you'll ever enjoy and come to remember. Same with, like I was saying earlier, with your significant other or even friends with those arguments. That small argument of he said, she said, it don't mean anything. That small argument of just y'all bickering about something, it doesn't matter. What matters is the memories you share together. That's what matters.
So as y'all can see, the theme for our chapel services was change. The big change that we went through and the steps that we took to get there. As humans, we all question change. We block it at first because it's unsure. You don't want to go into the unsure. You don't want to walk into that dark cave because you don't see the light. But God sees the light. That's why he's changing your life. As humans, we get so comfortable in what God has done for us. And we, instead of focus on what he's done for us, we need to be looking at what he's about to do, what he can do, because he will never take you this far just to drop you off, ever. He always has your best interest at heart. Even though it may not seem like it, he always has your best interest at heart. He gives his toughest fights to his toughest soldiers. And if you are feeling a change coming, take that first step. Even though it may be unsure, take that first step. The first step may be forgiveness. It may be getting up and doing something with your friends. It may be just smiling all day, just to convince yourself that you're happy. Don't walk around mad, because you have to always remember why you're mad. Somebody's always going to ask you what's wrong. You have to go back and think, why am I mad? And that's just releasing even more anger into your body. Your body isn't meant to hold anger. That's why when you get mad, you want to hit something, you want to yell, because your body needs to release that anger. But when you're happy, you don't even have to think about it. You just go through life just happy. Just don't be the person who rejects change, because it's going to make life even harder for you.
So tonight, I just want to encourage you guys that if you're in this midst of what I call the pause, or the turning point of where you feel so hurt and you feel so angry and you feel so upset and you feel like everything is at its worst and you're in this valley, know that it will get better. Know that change is coming. Know that the Lord has something so good in your life that you don't even know yet, because you're not there to see it. But know that you can walk blindly in faith, knowing that he has your back at every turn, at every moment, at every low point. And when you think it can't get worse, there's another battle to fight, know that you're not in it alone, because he's right there with you. Know that you are never alone. Know that there's people here at Emmanuel that are here to help you, that are here to walk through that with you, that are here to pray with you. So tonight, if you're in this place where you just need prayer, where you need someone to just be beside you, to be with you, to walk through life with you, we're going to have people around the room that are here to pray with you, that are here to help you, that are here to encourage you. And so during this next song, if you will just go and see one of them, go and talk to one of them. You can talk to myself or anyone else around the room, and we're here to pray for you, and we're here to help you. So if you'll bow your eyes and close it in prayer tonight. Dear Lord Jesus, I just want to pray over each and every person in this room, Lord. Lord, I want to pray miraculous healing. I want to pray that your power and your presence comes over this room and comes over every single person in this room, and that healing takes place, that a turning point takes place, that you come into their life and you do something in them, Lord, because we cannot walk this life alone. We cannot do this without you, Lord. And so, Lord, I pray that each and every person that is in this valley, that's in this hard time, Lord, that you come into their life and that they hear you tonight, that they hear your voice tonight, that they haven't heard in so long, Lord. Lord, I pray that they know that you're here for them. They know that you're with them. They know that change is coming, and they know that your goodness is so great, Lord. Lord, I want to pray that you just do miraculous things, because you are a miracle worker and you can do that, Lord. Lord, we love you, we praise you, and we thank you, and amen.
Just sing this. I need you to soften my heart and break me apart. I need you to open my eyes and see that you're shaping my life. Sing that again. I need you. I need you to soften my heart and break me apart. I need you to open my eyes and see that you're shaping my life. 'Cause all I am and all I am, I surrender. Give me faith to trust what you say, that you're good and your love is great. I'm broken inside, I give you my life. I need you to soften my heart and break me apart. I need you to pierce through the dark and cleanse every part of me. All I am and all I am, I surrender, Lord. I surrender. Give me faith to trust what you say, that you're good and your love is great. I'm broken inside, I give you my life. I give you my life, Lord. Sing that again. Give me faith. Give me faith to trust what you say, that you're good, that you're good, and your love is great. I'm broken inside, I give you my life. I give it all to you, Jesus. 'Cause I may be weak, but your spirit's strong in me. My flesh may fail, but my God, you never will. I may be weak, but your spirit's strong in me. My flesh may fail, but my God, you never will. Just sing that. I may be weak, but your spirit's strong in me. My flesh may fail, but my God, y'all need a reminder tonight. Just sing that. I may be weak, oh, but your spirit's strong in me. My flesh may fail, but my God, you never. I may be weak, hallelujah. flesh may fail, but my God, you never will. I may be weak, your spirit strong in me. My flesh may fail, but my God, you never will. I may be weak, but your spirit strong in me. My flesh may fail, but my God, you never will. Give me faith to trust what you say, that you're good and your love is great. I'm broken inside, I give you my life. Can we sing that one more time together? Give me faith to trust what you say, that you're good and your love is great. I'm broken inside, but I give you my life.
Father, thank you that we are not alone. Thank you, Father, for the word that you've spoken tonight through the testimony of your children. And Lord, I pray that as we leave, that you would help us to allow the seed to grow and to not walk away from this forgetting what you said. That indeed you are here with us. And though we may be weak, you are our strength. You never promised that we'd be strong enough to fight all the fights that you have before us, but you have promised that your capable spirit will never forsake us. Help us to remember that. Give us faith to trust that surely you are good and you're worthy of our trust. We pray all this in your mighty and holy name. Amen. Thank you, everybody who was able to come out tonight. And I pray that you were blessed and that you're able to take something home from what you've heard tonight. Maybe one of the testimonies or one of the words that was shared. Again, if you came and you need to sign in to get your credit for this, make sure you see Pastor Chris or Trey in the back to get that sorted out. Again, thank you so much, and you're free to go in the Lord.